Since my last Epic Storm video, I've been running hotter than the sun. Over 45 matches, I am 33-12 for a 73.5 match win percentage, and this is with the list featuring 2 main deck copies of Thoughtseize alongside Cabal Rituals, no Rite of Flames. You heard me correctly, no copies of Rite of Flame. And today, we're going to see if we can maybe get a 5-0. I 5-0'd twice in the last week with this deck list. Can we do it again? Let's go find out. As I said in the intro, today we're running it back. This deck list is pretty much the same as the last video, and if you're interested, you can find that video on the card above. And how is it different? Well, today we're not playing Echoing Truth, and we're not playing the third copy of Carpet of Flowers. In that video, I did quite a bit of bashing of Carpet of Flowers. I said I didn't want to play it anymore, and I tested a couple lists without it. And what I found was, well, I just didn't know what to do with my sideboard slots, if I'm being completely honest with you. I wanted something I would actually use, and not just like a cutesy wish target. But ultimately, I found that I had too much to board in. So a card I'm really interested in now is Molten Collapse. And I talked about it at the end of that last video, but the problem is we're not playing Mishra's Bauble anymore. We only have 11 cards that trigger the ability for both modes, which are fetch lands, and then 4 copies of Lotus Petal. Theoretically, you could legend roll your Mox Opals, but that doesn't beat an Archon of Emeria, for example. So it's just not very reliable. So we're not playing it. And instead, we're playing Beseech, which is a card I'm really interested in because it's very good against sphere effects, both Trinisphere, Sphere Resistance, Thorn of Amethyst, all of those things. And it's just been really good for me because you can also board it in against decks that, like Delver, where it's a green source that helps cast your Carpet of Flowers, your Veil of Summers, but it also answers Null Rod. And I've just been so impressed by Beseech recently, and it's been a pretty big reason why my win percentage has been so high over the last couple weeks as I've been testing out this deck list. As I said in the intro, 73.5% over 45 matches is just remarkable. And I think Beseech has a lot to do with it. So I'm really excited to play this deck list again today. And I've been, fine with Cabal Ritual. It certainly had its moments where I've been impressed by it, but I think the real flexibility of Cabal Ritual over Rite of Flame is your ability to sideboard it out, which sounds crazy, but when you're running 4 Rite of Flames, you either have to sideboard out all 4 or leave them in. And with Cabal Ritual in the deck list, you get more flexibility now. And I think that's so huge. And I've just really been enjoying that aspect of the deck as well. You're less reliant on red, so you don't have to run 3 red sources. So we get to play 2 Underground Sea and 1 Volcanic Island. So that brings me back to my previous point about wish targets. So I talked about not wanting to play cutesy wish targets. Things like Pulverize force you to play 3 mountains. I've never been impressed by something like Bifrost or Meltdown. So I'd rather just not play it, instead run that Consign to Oblivion effect or even Molten Collapse. But ultimately, I think the deck list that we have is the best thing that's available at the moment. I mean, it's hard to be upset at this when I'm winning at such a high rate with this deck list, and I feel like I'm becoming a little bit rambly. So I'm just going to go on into match number 1. Hopefully you enjoyed the slightly longer deck tech today, and I'll see you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to the first match. We are on the play with the Epic Storm. Okay, so here we have Gaea as well, which isn't ideal in your opening hand, but we do have a Brainstorm. We have the Cabal Ritual that help cast a Beseech the Mirror if we find it, or if we draw Burning Wish, this could help cast Peer into the Abyss. I think that this is a keep. I mean, it's not a snap keep, but this hand has a lot of potential. Okay, I'm just going to lead on turn 1 Misty Rainforest and then pass the turn. Opponent plays a Verdant Catacombs for a basic Swamp. Thoughtseize. Okay, I'm going to have to fetch with this Brainstorm in response. We'll grab Underground Sea and let's play the Brainstorm. Okay, that was pretty good for us. I'm going to put back the Gaea's Will and the Burning Wish. Is that actually what I want to do here? Actually, I think I'm going to hide the Burning Wish on the bottom and then Lion's Eye Diamond on top. This will allow me to echo against the black deck, and I think that's probably pretty good. Getting rid of the guy as well here is not as important. Our opponent discards Dark Ritual. We're going to draw the Lion's Eye Diamond. I'll play the diamond out, and then we can pass the turn. Bloodstained Mire. They then activate the Bloodstained Mire. Grabbing a Taiga. Interesting. What are we facing? I mean, theoretically, this could be the Storm Mirror. It could also be like an Orcish Bowmaster deck. Well, it's definitely not the Mirror. I don't want to search with Assassin's Trophy, thank you. Alright, we'll draw. Play the Misty. And I'm going to suspend this guy as well. We know that we're facing a fair deck. And I don't know. Like, I think that this game could go long enough at this point where that's a card I'm interested in. I could have played Burning Wish for Peer into the Abyss there. That's something that perhaps I should have thought a second longer about. Another copy of Taiga. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Okay. We have 5 cards in the graveyard. This Bloodstained Mire would be number 6. We'll take a draw. Does that do it? It does not. I mean, I could echo here, though. Let's fetch. I'll grab another copy of Underground Sea. Yeah, we're just 1 mana short here. This is definitely a spot where Rite of Flame would have been a little bit more flexible. We'll play the Cabal Ritual. And in response, the Endurance from the main deck, exiling Life from the Loam. Okay. So we're just facing Legacy Jund, match 1. Cabal Ritual. Makes me feel a little bit better about deciding not to Peer into the Abyss or go grab Peer into the Abyss. We'll play the Burning Wish. Yes. So you could have thought about an Empty the Warrens there, but our opponent's shown us that they're on a deck with a lot of obscure cards in the main deck, and you don't know if they have anything like a Plague Engineer. I do have a feeling they have an Orcish Bowmasters here, but I still think I'm supposed to take the chance on the Echo. I think it's a higher probability than Empty the Warrens. Alright, Storm is 6. Oh no, I didn't see that coming. That's so crazy. Orcish Bowmasters happens. And we do not have a green mana floating, so we will not be able to Veil of Summer that all the triggers. That said, our opponent is dead. D-E-D. Dead. Okay. Sure, I'll take 7 damage. In return, you're going to lose the game. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. About a Cabal Ritual, Storm is now 10. Let's play Beseech the Mirror. Sacrificing this Mox Opal. Go grab Tendrils of Agony. Target you. Turn 4. Love it. I feel like I haven't had an Echo win in a moment, so this feels pretty good. Sweet. That was game number 1. Alright, so how are we going to sideboard? That's a pretty good question. I actually worked on the Epic Storm version 15.5 sideboard guide with Alex McKinley and Jordan Cream of the Epic Storm team just this week, and we published it to Patreon. Right now it's only available for the Stormtrooper tier, but it will be available to our base tier at the start of December. So in that sideboard guide, it says that we are doing +2 Abrupt Decay, -2 Thoughtseize. Alright, so that is what we're going to do against Jund. Whoops, minus Thoughtseize, not add. And we will submit. So we're expecting them to bring in Collector Oof, and if they happen to have something like Mindbreak Trap, and I hope that they don't, but if they do, you can always board in the Thoughtseizes for game number 3. Or you can just Burning Wish for a Thoughtseize, that works too. We cannot keep this hand, we will mulligan. I guess so. I don't really want to go to 5 against the Thoughtseize deck. Turn 1 Bloodstained Mire for a Badlands. And there's the Thoughtseize. They discard a Brainstorm. You have Surgical? Is that what's going on here? I'm going to fetch now. I have a feeling that they could have like a Pyroblast or something. So I'm going to just play this out now before Orcish Bowmasters as well. There's a lot of reasons to main phase this. That was actually fairly good. Okay, so we're going to hide Dark Ritual and Veil of Summer. And I'm going to play out the Mox Opal. Pass the turn. So you might be saying, why not just go put the Dark Ritual on top? Well, next turn I could play Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror, and what am I doing after that, right? Like, it's not a whole lot, where if I wait a turn, I can theoretically win with Song of Creation or Gaia's Will. That said, we did see main deck endurance in game 1. So they're playing a duress here. Little do they know, my hand is a pair. They surveil away Force of Vigor. Beseech the Mirror is discarded. We'll play the Taiga and pass the turn. 3 cards remain. They play a land. Orcish Bowmaster. They're choosing to main phase this. I'm going to allow that to resolve. Because right now I'm kind of thinking about Song of Creation. And if I want to Song of Creation, I want to be able to cast Veil of Summer. They have 2 cards left in their hand. So if I play Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror, and then play Veil of Summer to start my chain, I then have another land drop. Because I feel like they're more likely to have Graveyard Hate than another Force of Vigor. But the question is, should I wait until I have 2 land drops? I don't know. Let's search up the Bayou. Dark Ritual. And let's cast Beseech the Mirror. I do not have enough to win with a Gaia's Will line. We'll grab the Song of Creation. And we'll play Song of Creation. And then Veil of Summer. And we're really hoping to draw 0 mana spells off this song trigger. We did draw 1. Okay, Ponder was also a good draw in case we draw a blue source. Then I can play Ponder. And the Veil of Summer is going to protect us from future copies of Orcish Bowmaster triggers. Alright, Veil of Summer. Lion's Eye Diamond, this will trigger as well. The Orcish Bowmaster still triggers on every Song of Creation, they just can't target me. They're targeting themselves, so they apparently don't know the trick that you can target their own Orc army. So that's fine by me. We'll play another copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. Alright, they see it now. Let's play Chrome Mox. Song of Creation continues to happen. There's Tendrils of Agony. I do think that I'm likely supposed to play around them having Veil of Summer, so I'm going to continue to cast spells. We'll imprint the Tendrils. We'll play the Bloodstained Mire, fetch, grab Volcanic Island. So I am going to do something a little bit wild here. I guess if I do that, they could draw into a Force of Vigor for my song. But if I ponder and miss, I'm going to feel like a real dummy. Let's look at my sideboard. I was thinking about grabbing Echo of Aeons. Storm is 7. I think I'm just going to cast Ponder. Storm 8. And there's a Dark Ritual, I love that. That guarantees another Song of Creation trigger. I have already played both my lands for the turn. Ooh, that looks good. No, I don't want to shuffle. Veil of Summer, what a card. Stops Orcish Bowmasters, you're able to beat Chalice of the Void on 0. The card's just so remarkably good. Mox Opal now resolves, we'll play Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual now resolves, so if I pass the turn, I'm dead. But we are definitely not passing the turn. Firm count is currently 11. Let's play another copy of Chrome Mox. Imprint a Burning Wish. And then we'll cast the Burning Wish. And I could just go get Grapeshot right here. But if for some reason, and I like to play around obscurities when it's free. And here I do think it's a spot where it's free. You can go grab Thoughtseize and check for Veil of Summer. Or Veil of Summer or even Mindbreak Trap. I mean, I feel like if they had Mindbreak Trap, they would have used it earlier on in the combo turn, but it's pretty free to do so. Like, there's no world in which I get punished for playing this Thoughtseize. And they had Force of Vigor, no green card. Wow. Dark Ritual. Storm count is currently 15. We'll play a Burning Wish. That is a really large Orc army token. It's a shame that they won't ever be able to attack with it. We'll grab our copy of Grapeshot. Play a Chrome Mox that will imprint a Galvanic Relay to make red. Sweet. And then, I'm sorry, this is not Storm 20, it's only Storm 18. We will play our Grapeshot. When you make purchases from the Epic Storm, I often include a signed token, and sometimes I rate Storm 20 on them as like a marketing thing, but also I just love Grapeshot. It was my favorite cards for years before Galvanic Relay was printed. And I always have a soft spot for this card. So winning here was ultra sweet. Anyway, enough of me just like blabbering. Why don't we go on to match number 2? I'll see you there. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Match number 2. I have faced this opponent twice in the past. One time was with Jeskai Control. The other time was with Legacy Hammer Time. So they have a pretty wide range, I would say. Here we have a hand with the guys, well, where we have 3 protection spells. This hand actually just doesn't do anything. Like, yeah, it could end up being good against Jeskai Control, but it's so slow. We don't even have green mana. This is definitely a mulligan. This is a little bit better. I'll keep him bottom the Mox Opal. They play Basic Island, a Lotus Petal, and another copy of Lotus Petal. Show and Tell. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to beat a turn 1 Show and Tell, especially on the play. So I could Echo here. Echo and hope for a miracle. I mean, that's probably my best chance at a win. Volcanic Island. Let's go grab Underground Sea. Play Burning Wish. Resolves. We'll go grab Echo of Aeons. Lion's Eye Diamond. Sacrifice for blue mana, and then we will flash back the Echo of Aeons. Resolves? No fast mana. Okay, we will go to game number 2. Womp womp. We're facing likely Sneak and Show. I like boarding in both copies of Thoughtseize against decks where you don't really have time to Burning Wish for them. And then you can board out 2 copies of Galvanic Relay. Relay is a card where you're really rewarded for more time. And against a deck like Show and Tell, you're not always guaranteed that time, as we saw in game number 1. Game 2, we're on the play this time. Sure, this seems delightful. Keep. What's funny about this hand is if my opponent plays a Show and Tell, I can put in Song of Creation and then win the game on our turn. Thoughtseize. Let's take this Hydroblast. That's a card that kills my Song of Creation. I can't have that happening. Alright, so we are going to leave them with the Show and Tell. They play the Lotus Petal. City of Traders. It's happening! Yes! It's happening! Song of Creation. Archon of Cruelty. Okay, we'll discard the land. I don't want it anyway. Oh, opponent, what have you done? What have you done? I love this so much. Lotus Petal. Burning Wish and a Ponder. We'll play a Mox Opal. Draw 2 more cards. Oh, this game's over. This game is over. Okay. I mean, they had back-to-back turn 1 Show and Tell games. I mean, they're not really allowed to be upset with their draws here. I mean, this was 2 pretty good draws for them in a row. But it looks like we're going to be headed to a 3rd game. Play another Lotus Petal. Dark Ritual. Let's cast a Brainstorm. Put back a pair of lands. Play Thoughtseize. I'd like to see what's in their hand. We'll draw those lands again. Discard the Brainstorm. And I guess we can try to win the game now. A little bit boring, but whatever. Beseech the Mirror. So if you're ever in a situation where you're extremely pinched on mana... Ooh. I forgot that our opponent gained 3 life. So instead of grabbing Tendrils, I'll grab another Beseech. But if you're ever really pinched on mana, you should sacrifice the Song of Creation and not something else. Because the Song of Creation could, in theory, draw the Tendrils of Agony, and you don't want that happening. I'm at a spot right now where I want to keep drawing cards, so I'm going to not sacrifice the Song of Creation, and I have plenty of mana, so it's never really a concern. Okay, now we go to game number 3. I am still not going to sideboard or re-sideboard, whatever you would like to say, and we'll just hope that we get to play, a 3rd game. On the draw, game number 3, our opponent has kept 7 cards. I don't really like having Tendrils of Agony in my hand, but I do like having double interaction spell, so I'm going to keep this. If they have turn 1 Show and Tell again, I mean, they're going to win. This hand doesn't beat that. But it is a highly interactive hand, which I think is pretty good. They lead on Volcanic Island. Draw Chromox. I think we're obligated here to play Thoughtseize. They'll respond with Brainstorm. So a trick that you can do, and I mean, it comes up not super often, but let's say our opponent right now is trying to hide a pair of counter spells. And they're not thinking, and they leave an Emrakul the Aeon's Torn in their hand. Well, you can discard the Emrakul, which then creates a shuffle trigger, and they would shuffle away those cards. Okay, so they have a sneak attack hand this time. We'll take the Spirit Guide, trying to slow them down. So it's worth noting, they still have an Atraxa in their hand, so that means that their top card could be a blue card for Force of Will. We'll take a draw here. Beseech the Mirror was very good. Let's attempt a Brainstorm. Oh my. Oh my, that was so good. Okay, so hypothetically, I want to put back Tendrils of Agony and Galvanic Relay. Well, hold on. I guess, how would this work? So I would need my Mox Opal to be the green mana in this situation. So if that's the case, I want the Tendrils of Agony to imprint. So I'd put back Volcanic Island Relay, and then I don't have enough mana. Am I supposed to just Galvanic Relay here then? Put back Veil of Summer Tendrils? Or Veil of Summer Beseech the Mirror? I think that might be the play. And then I would keep Dark Ritual in hand, imprinting the Tendrils. Okay. I think that this is the line. Volcanic Island. We'll play a copy of Lion's Eye Diamond. Throw Mox. Imprint Tendrils of Agony. Play a Mox Opal. Galvanic Relay for 5. So Beseech the Mirror, Veil of Summer, Taiga, Brainstorm, and Ponder. So we saw 3 new cards off that. And now we have to hope that our opponent doesn't kill me. So they fetched away one of the cards. That's interesting. So they only wanted to keep 1 card off that Brainstorm. And our opponent concedes. Alright, I love that. We are now 2-0, 3 matches left to go. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. We are back at it for the 3rd match, and we are on the play. I have no idea what our opponent's playing today. Well, this is a hand of magic cards. I think I'm going to try this. We could find a black source. We can Dark Ritual Thoughtseize Relay. This hand has possibilities. And if you find a Beseech the Mirror and want to put back the relays, you do have Dark Ritual. This hand is weak against a Wasteland, but can't beat everything. Alright, our opponent has kept 7 cards. We will play Volcanic Island, tapping it for a blue and casting Ponder. And that was a very good Brainstorm for the home team. We'll keep Beseech the Mirror on the bottom. Okay. Pass. Urborg. I don't like that. I like my hand. Throw a Mox. So they're probably the Black Prison deck. The Imprint and Opposition Agent. Dark Ritual. If only I had had a black land on turn 1 instead of Volcanic Island. Beseech the Mirror. They're probably getting Karn the Great Creator here, knowing who I am. Helm of Obedience. Okay. So maybe they have a Dauthi Voidwalker in their hand? I'm going to play the Brainstorm, but I think we're going to end up putting back the Galvanic Relays. This just isn't a relay matchup. And now I'll use the Misty Rainforest to go grab Bayou, and we'll play Thoughtseize. There's the Dauthi Voidwalker. Goodbye. Pass the turn. So our opponent does have a Troll of Khazad-dûm, so they can search for a swamp, but they drew one. So now they have Orcish Bowmasters available. We draw Cabal Ritual. That's not terrible. I'm going to play the Underground Sea and cast Ponder. I don't really care if my opponent gets a Bowmaster trigger. Yep, you got it. Nice Raise the Alarm. Ponder. There's a Lotus Petal. Is that good enough to win the game? So 5 cards to graveyard. Dark Ritual will be 6. I think I'm just short. If I Burning Wish for like Thoughtseize, does that do it? I think it leaves me a mana short. Pretty sure this still wins though. So Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual's 4 mana. Lotus Petal would be the bargain for Beseech. We would tap the Volcanic Island floating a black. And then on the way back, I would Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual. Yeah, I mean, this is still deterministic. I guess I'll float, doesn't matter. Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing Lotus Petal. Grab the Gaea as well. Like, we still have 4 mana in the end, so it doesn't matter why I spent so much time thinking. I was just really wanting to get to the threshold on Cabal Ritual for some reason. I don't know. I don't get to do it that often, like, come on. But we did there. And then we'll play the Beseech. Hiding the Burning Wish for now. Our opponent doesn't need to know about it. Grab Tendrils of Agony. Target the opponent. That's game number 1 versus Black Prison. Or Black Stompy, whatever you would like to call your deck. Turn 3. Okay, so in this matchup, I don't really like Thoughtseize that much. Like, it hits Karn, so I feel like sometimes you're obligated to board it in. But it's not great on the draw. Veil of Summer is not a card we are actually interested in, because while they do have Thoughtseize in some lists, this matchup isn't a matchup where you want to be holding open mana pretty much ever. So you could leave in like 1 for Orcish Bowmaster, so that way you can win with Song of Creation, but you don't really want it. Abrupt Decay hits Opposition Agent, so that's 62 cards we're at now. So you can leave in 1 Galvanic Relay to beat Graveyard Hate, or you can leave in 1 Veil of Summer or a Thoughtseize or whatever. I think the Relay is probably a little bit better, but we are facing a list that has Helm in it and Beseech the Mirror, so they're a little bit faster. I think I'm going to leave in 1 Veil of Summer. We'll try this out. And we have drawn the 1 Veil of Summer. Although I don't think that this hand is a keep. It just doesn't actually do anything. You can't play your Thoughtseize without sacrificing the Lotus Petal. You can't really play Cabal Ritual without sacrificing the Lotus Petal. Ponder doesn't do anything. We will go to 6. This is much better. We're 1 mana short of turn 1 Empty the Warrens. So a Mox Opal, a Lion's Eye Diamond, all those things would be great. We will keep and bottom a copy of Misty Rainforest. Our opponent starts with a Leyline of the Void. They have 5 cards in hand. Vault of Whispers, Troll Mox, imprints a Troll, and passes. So this signals that they have Orcish Bowmasters. We'll take a draw. Beseech the Mirror. Okay, that was a pretty good draw for us. Now I'm looking at Song of Creation, but I have to pass the turn. So you could Song of Creation right now, play your land and pass, but I don't think that's great. And we do find out that they have an Orcish Bowmasters. They have 1 card left in their hand. I'm less interested in Song of Creation now. They attack for 2. I will go to 17. Dauthi Voidwalker. We'll fetch on the end step. Grab Underground Sea. Another Burning Wish. They have 1 card in hand. I mean, I could try to win with Song of Creation here, but I only get so many draws before the Orcs would kill me, and I only have 1 Veil of Summer in the deck. They have 1 card. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a hybrid approach. I'm going to Burning Wish and go get Grapeshot. Pass the turn. They all attack for 5. I go to 10. They play an Urza's Saga. They have 1 card left. If it's Opposition Agent, I don't think we're winning this game. Thoughtseize. Okay. So if I Thoughtseize and it is Opposition Agent, I could Dark Ritual. So if I Thoughtseize this turn, I'd have to sacrifice Lotus Petal to Grapeshot some of their team as well. Really tough spot to be in here. I just need more mana. I think I'm going to choose to disrespect Opposition Agent, because even if I took that line, they could draw 1 next turn. Lotus Petal. Like, this is still a random card now versus a random card later. Cast Beseech the Mirror. Apparently, it was not Opposition Agent. We will grab Song of Creation and play the song. I need to kill this Bowmasters before it kills me. Play Lotus Petal. We drew the Veil! Okay, so now I don't necessarily have to kill the Bowmasters. But I also didn't draw any mana, which is pretty scary for me right now. We really need this Veil of Summer to be... the draw of this to be amazing. Whew. Okay, there we go. Song of Creation is so freaking good. Let me tell you. Holy moly. Veil of Summer. Now we'll play a Lion's Eye Diamond. Things are looking good for the home team. Play a copy of Chrome Mox. We'll end up imprinting this Abrupt Decay. So then I can play Dark Ritual. We still have not drawn a single land to play for turn yet. Dark Ritual. Well, I drew an active Mox Opal. That will have to do. Play the Mox Opal. Once again, there's a rather large orc on the battlefield. Play Underground Sea as my land for the turn. We can play a Misty Rainforest. And then I'm going to cast Burning Wish, holding priority. We'll add 3 black. Bowmasters continues to happen. Yes. We will grab Tendrils of Agony. Cast it. And this should be the match. Sweet. We are now 3-0, 2 matches left. I'm telling you, this deck list is so freaking good. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Okay, time for match number 4. We're facing Marcus Ewald, Legacy Stalwart, really great person. They almost exclusively play blue decks. This hand seems fine. We'll keep this. Marcus plays everything from High Tide to Doomsday to classic control decks. Like, no matter what it is, though, it's always blue. So I find a hand with Galvanic Relay to be fairly good. Out of the decks I listed, I'd prefer if Marcus wasn't playing Doomsday. It's not really a matchup I want to face. We see some zeros here, but no lands. I'm going to shuffle. We drew the Chrome Mox anyway. That was actually the only card out of the top 3 that I wanted. Okay, not likely Doomsday. I mean, Doomsday does play a Tropical Island these days if they're Sultai or Bug, but it's not a common opening. If we draw another copy of Beseech the Mirror, we will play Brainstorm. It is dazed. Looks like we're passing the turn. So this could be a Delver deck, maybe the Jujubee deck that won Eternal Weekend Prog. We are not hit by a Wasteland. That's good. And another Ponder. Did not shuffle. Thoughtseize was a good draw for us. I'm going to attempt another Brainstorm. And we are dazed. Pass the turn. Underground Sea, so it could be Doomsday. And it is. Unfortunate. Okay. Not the matchup I wanted. Also, Doomsday only plays 2 dazes. I just want to point that out there, that Marcus had both dazes in game number 1. It's fairly rare. I don't know what draw we have that actually wins the game. Like Dark Ritual, I suppose, could win the game. But if I had to guess, we're probably dead from here. Alright, so Marcus has selected 5 cards. There's main deck Veil of Summer on top of Teferi Time Raveler. So Marcus is on a wild 4-color list that also has the One Ring in it. Spicy. 1 Force of Will, 2 Force of Wills, 3 Force of Wills. There's still a Force of Will somewhere in Marcus's pile or hand. Dark Ritual is an insane draw for us. We'll play a Chrome Mox and imprint Beseech the Mirror. I mean, there's probably not a third daze, and I feel like Cabal Ritual is a card that probably isn't going to be hit by Force of Will. So I'm going to lead on the Cabal Ritual instead of Dark Ritual. If this resolves, we get to Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual, Beseech the Mirror into Tendrils of Agony. It does resolve, we'll play Thoughtseize. We know that one of the cards in Marcus's hand is Tropical Island. Daze, Street Wraith. I can't actually beat the Daze. So, am I supposed to just jam? Because I'm pretty sure I'm dead. Also, here's a read that I might be crazy on. Why wouldn't Marcus daze if there was a blue card on top for Street Wraith? Right? So, I'm going to play like there's no blue card on top and we'll take daze number 3 here. Or maybe Marcus didn't daze because it would set him back a full turn. I mean, I can't beat the daze, so we just have to take it here. Dark Ritual. And Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing Chrome Mox. Daze and Forces the cards in Marcus's hand. Too powerful. Holy moly, it resolved. We're grabbing Tendrils of Agony and targeting Marcus. Wow. We got away with one there. Game number 1 stolen. Gonna check the sideboard guide. And says we board in Thoughtseize and take out Cabal Ritual. This is a matchup where I like Galvanic Relay, so that makes sense to me. In the post-board games, Doomsday tends to board in a lot of Force and Negations and things like that. Also, Cabal Ritual is just a very juicy daze target. Game number 2, we're on the draw. We have a hand where we can't cast Beseech the Mirror. Veil of Summer is great, but we also have this Guy's Will that we can't really use. So if I keep this hand, we are all in on Brainstorm not only resolving, but finding perfect cards. So I think that's a little bit of a tall order. We will mulligan. Ay. I guess we're going to 5. Sure. We're going to pretend that Marcus kept a hand with no interaction whatsoever. Okay. Tropical Island. Ponder. Marcus shuffles on Ponder. We draw one of the few cards in our deck that did not win me the game on turn 1. I have to pass. Anything that would have been an imprintable or a land would have allowed me a turn 1. Knight's Whisper. Draws up to 7. Passes the turn. Lotus Petal. Let's play Lotus Petal. Lion's Eye Diamond. Mox Opal. Dark Ritual. Okay. I think I'm not supposed to try the Song of Creation win because it loses to Daze. And I want to reduce how I possibly lose this game. So instead, we're going to try a Spell Chain here. Well, like, I lose the Force of Will. I've already accepted that based on my keep. But we can just chain spells into a lethal Tendrils. Beseech the Mirror again, sacrificing Chrome Mox. I'm going to Beseech the Mirror again. It's pretty free, and if for some reason Marcus is messing with me with a Force Negation, I can still have enough Storm to win. Past Tendrils. Did we actually just do this? Wow! We got away with one here. We are 4-0, about to play for a trophy. Let's see if we can make it happen in match number 5. I'll see you there. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. For the trophy, match number 5, and we are on the play. We're facing someone who has 2 recent 5-0s with lands, so that's what we're going to put them on today. And we've opened up a pretty explosive hand. That said, it doesn't work the way you want it to work. So we have Volcanic Island, which taps for a blue or a red. And then our black source is Lotus Petal. So I can play Beseech the Mirror on the first turn, but it doesn't have anything to bargain, which is an issue. So we could go Volcanic Island, sacrifice Petal, Thoughtseize, but is that good? Not likely. So if you keep this hand, the game plan is to go Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Thoughtseize you, and then play Galvanic Relay for 5. So is 5 cards off the top good enough to win with 1 land and a Beseech the Mirror? This hand is so close to being insane. 5 cards off the top. I'm going to pray that they are. Let's keep. And the reason why you want to go on turn 1, so you might be saying, why not just take a draw step? Lands is a deck nowadays that has main deck copies of Sphere of Resistance, and you just can't afford to possibly pass the turn. I will now cast Thoughtseize. And it looks like they're on the Artisan Elves deck. Okay, with Elvish Spirit Guides. That's interesting. We'll take Fiend Artisan. And I'm going to save the Cabal Ritual and just Galvanic Relay for 4. Because that means all I need to do is hit black mana and an artifact. And I did that. So they could have a turn 1 Grist the Hunger Tide here. I don't know if that's what they want to do, but it's an option. Bayou and Noble Hierarch. Okay. Mana, please. Brainstorm. We'll play the Misty. Playing Mox Opal is free. Is there anything that we actually want out of the sideboard with Burning Wish? Which is a very fair question here. Because I could fetch, play Brainstorm, but I don't think there's anything that actually helps us here. Like, I could go get Grapeshot. I think I'm just going to play the Brainstorm instead. How do I lose this game? Okay, I've talked myself into it. I lose if they draw Greenstone Zenith for a Collector Roof. We'll play it a little bit slower, and I will go get Grapeshot. Yes. Grapeshot to hand, pass the turn. We know 4 out of the 6 cards in their hand. We don't know their draw step from last turn and their draw step from this turn. They play a Windswept Heath. They use 1 Spirit Guide and Grist the Hunger Tide. They plus the Grist, creating a 1/1 insect creature token. We'll draw for turn. Another Beseech the Mirror. Let's play Brainstorm. This would be our 6th card to the graveyard. So this is a win, assuming that our opponent doesn't have Endurance in hand. Or like a crop rotation into Bojuka Bog. I don't know if they're even on crop rotation these days, but they're definitely an Endurance deck. I think I'm supposed to disrespect here. I probably don't need double Beseech the Mirror. We can put one of those back. Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, and then Beseech the Mirror. Well, they're definitely a Bojuka Bog deck. I just don't think that they play crop rotation. Let's grab Gaia's Will. Please don't have Endurance. Gaia's Will. That resolved. We'll start with a Cabal Ritual. Play land. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Play out a Lotus Petal. Play Mox Opal. Storm 10. And now we'll Thoughtseize for information. Storm 11. Crater Huff and Gaia's Cradle were the draws. And now we'll Beseech the Mirror, sacrificing Mox Opal. Grabbing Tendrils of Agony. And our opponent concedes. We're one game away from a trophy. One single game. Let's go get it. Whew. We want Thoughtseize. Abrupt Decay. Alright, well, the sideboard guide says just Thoughtseize and Abrupt Decay. And then we're going to take out Galvanic Relay and a single copy of Veil of Summer. I made the sideboard guide and I don't even remember what it says. Getting old. Getting very, very old, but my play's still super sharp. No misplays ever, right? Definitely not on this channel. Okay, so we have a hand that can answer a Collector Oof. They've kept 7. We don't have any payoffs, but this hand seems good to me. I'm going to keep it. Obviously, there's some risk, but I like having the answer to Collector Oof, which is their best card in the matchup. Verdant Catacombs, Bayou, Spirit Guide, Turn 1 Collector Oof. Well, I need to draw another mana source before they have a Thoughtseize. Well, there's my payoff. I just need the mana source now. Also, without Elvish Spirit Guide, they might have been dead here. I need to draw another land. They attack for 2. I go to 18. They pass. Alright, I'm going to attempt a Brainstorm. Let's grab Underground Sea. Play Brainstorm. Am I being Bowmastered here? Looks like it. Okay. That happens. Brainstorm. And I missed on the land. That's brutal. Put a Beseech on top and then Ponder. I take 3 off Orcish Bowmasters. I might just be dead before I can even do anything this game. Pass the turn. They're attacking for 7. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm deterministically dead here. We can just go to the next game. Okay. Need to do better. We're on the play this time, so let's just keep a good hand. This is a turn 1 Echo of Aeons. I think I'm good with that. We'll lead on Bayou. Lotus Petal. And we will Burning Wish. Go grab the Echo. Play Lion's Eye Diamond. Storms 3. And now we will shuffle up. Our opponent kept 7. Let's undo their keep. And I am forced to pass the turn. Although, this hand is very good. Very, very good. They play a Once Upon a Time. They find a Windswept Heath. They play it. Okay. Tap for a black. And they have Thoughtseize. That's pretty dangerous here. If they have a Collector Oof or a way of getting Collector Oof, they might take my Abrupt Decay. Our opponent decides on Dark Ritual. That's interesting. I won't lie, that might have been the last card in the hand that I would have taken. But it works out for me, so I'm not going to complain too much. We will pass the turn here. I could have played Brainstorm to get ahead of an Orcish Bowmasters, but I kind of want to sit on this Brainstorm a little while and see what I can make happen off of it. And they're going to pass the turn. Thoughtseize. An interesting draw. Let's play it. And I'm going to guess that they're going to respond with Orcish Bowmasters here, and then we'll play Brainstorm. Okay. Storm is 3. I've already played a land, so hypothetically if I put that back, and then Veil of Summer, so it would be Storm 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for lethal Tendrils of Agony. We'll put Veil of Summer back on top of the deck. Storm is currently 3. They have nothing? Okay, so that should be the league. Play Chrome Mox, imprint Abrupt Decay, play Lion's Eye Diamond. And now the toughest thing I have to do here is hold control. Play Burning Wish, sacrifice for triple black, and grab Tendrils of Agony. The heater continues with another 5-0 for version 15.5. Wow. Okay, well we did it. We got the 5-0. Look at that. Added to your collection. Boom. Had it all the whole time. So what did I think? I mean, I've been loving this deck list. Over 50 matches now. I have a 76 win percentage after updating the spreadsheet just now. And I love it. 50 matches is a pretty healthy sample size. Obviously, the larger the better, but hard to be upset at this deck list. I mean, it's just been so good for us. Song of Creation was the big, winner of this league. We didn't really get to showcase Beseech that much because we didn't face tempo decks. So That was unfortunate, but we did happen to go 5-0, and I love that. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, have a great day and keep storming. Hey you, yeah you, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.